friends. So this is video 1 of 3 for this week. I've broken up our assignments into 3 different parts. So we're still doing patterns and relationships. So I broke it up into 3 different parts. So there's going to be a video and then an assignment that goes with each video. So let's just jump right on in. We're still on Unit 6. We'll be ending Unit 6 on Wednesday will be our last day. And so we'll be starting Unit 7 on Thursday with geometry. So our I can statement for today and tomorrow, which is going to be video 1 and video 2, is I can explain the relationship between terms and a pattern. Now I've broken the video up, not the video, but I've broken this PowerPoint up into 3 sections: analyzing patterns, which is what we're going to do today. The next video is going to be patterns in context, which is just patterns within word problems. So the word problem tells us what we should do on our table. And then the third part, which is also going to be our last task for Unit 6, is graphing patterns. So just a review, remember that the tables that we're going to be using can be shown in many different ways. We have the XY table, which is what we use when we graph a coordinate, graph ordered pair on a coordinate plane. We have input output, and then another like small example would be how many pages we read and how many days. So here's just some examples of what I've just said. So here is an input output table, which basically just says input output. We have the XY, so here X is flowers, Y is the number of cupcakes. We have one that goes horizontal with Lynn and Marla. I'm not quite sure what the problem that went with this is, but just remember that pattern tables can go either vertical up and down or horizontal side to side. And then we have this one down here, and this one we're going to talk about. You probably saw this on the Unit 6 pretest with the rivers, so you'll be seeing that again. But this one actually has 3 columns, but as you can see, the miles goes with both Mark and Paul. So here they just wrote their ordered pair with just the miles and Mark. That's what's highlighted, and they're right here. So then when you do Paul, you would just do the miles and skip Mark and go to Paul. We'll talk about that, okay? Don't stress out about that quite yet. Well, don't stress out about it at all. All right, so relationships should be written as equations with both the variables. So for instance, with that one we just saw, here I'll go back to it. The one we just saw with flowers and cupcakes, we have a variable X and a variable Y. You should tell me the equation with both X and Y there. So let's start with day 1, analyzing patterns. So this might be familiar to you from the week before spring break, but here what we're going to do is we're going to practice. This is an input-output table, but it also has the variables for X and Y. So you see this is the X, the input, and then Y is the output. So if you remember from the last video, I talked about how it's kind of like a function machine. Something X is going into a device. This line is a device, and something happens and out pops this number, and it's up to us to figure out what happens within that machine as to why this number popped out. So before break, we had 3 questions to ask ourselves in order to figure out the pattern. So we needed to ask, was the number increasing or decreasing from X to Y, or from input to output, or whatever it is? And what 2 operations could be used, such as here, I'm going from 7 to 49. So I am increasing. So the only 2 operations that I can do to increase that number is multiplying and adding, okay? Then I want to check to see which one works every single time all the way across. Now this one is pretty easy. So I know that I can take 7 and multiply it by 7 to get 49. So that works on that one. So if I come over here, can I take 7 and multiply it by 4 to get 28? Yes. Can I take 7 and multiply it by 10 to get 70? Yes. So therefore, I know that my pattern, or my relationship, is going to be X times 7 equals Y. So here is, you need to ask yourself what's happening to X to get Y. And then how can I write that as an equation? So first we got to check to make sure our pattern prediction and make sure that it is consistent. It works every single time, which I've already done. And then we need to make sure that our output, whatever that variable is equals the pattern. So over here, you can see I have it written two different ways. I have x times 7 equals y. And you can also see, remember, if it's a number and a variable together with no operation beside it, that means we're going to multiply. So x7 equals y. It could also be written as y equals x times 7, because we know that the output is going to equal our pattern. So now I want you to practice on your own with this one. Once again, it's a very easy one. But notice as you're writing your prediction down that it is not x and y, that our input is u and our output is v. So instead of saying y equals something, this one's actually going to be v equals something happening to u. Once again, it's just another variable. Remember, we know that variables is just a letter that represents an unknown number, and because we know that this pattern can keep going, we don't know what exactly that number could be. So what I'm going to want you to do is I want you to pause this video, and the next I'm about to show you to pause, and I want you on your piece of paper to follow those steps. Is it increasing or decreasing? What two operations could I possibly use? And check to make sure that it happens every single time with each group, and then write that as an equation with something equaling the operation. So pause the video, go back a little bit to where you see the problem again, and then I want you to come back and start the video up again when you have a solution. All right, have you figured it out? Do you have your equation written down? All right, let's check it. So once again, here is your table with u and v instead of x and y. And I just now noticed that it says what's happening to x to get y. We know that it's u and v. It's all right. Okay, so if you said that it was decreasing from the input to the output, you are correct, which means which two operations could you have used? Yep, you could either subtracted or divided, because that would mean that we're getting a smaller number. Then you could have looked, or not could have, you should have looked and see if that pattern that you chose or that equation that you chose worked every single time. So this is what I got. U divided by 7 equals V. Now, notice here, I did use the slash, which you know we also use for fraction. So the slash symbol on the computer, because there's not a division sign, also stands for division, plus it also stands for a fraction. And we know that fractions are just a fancy way to divide, okay? So what you're going to do now is that you're going to go to Google Classroom. You're going to find your assignment for today, which is going to be 413. It is just a 5-question Google Forms. You're going to submit that and then do your daily review. Come back and watch this video as need. If you have any questions, email me and I will get back to you. Have fun. We'll do part 2 tomorrow.